So anyone who's been on the V board at 4chan probably knows about Mr. Bones' Wild Ride. For those who don't, it was a ride someone made for a roller coaster tycoon. It was one of the really those slow motor car rides, but with a twist. It had 30,696 feet off track, and the ride time was about 70 in real lifetime minutes. Around for 4 years in the game. In addition, there were those props of skeletons holding out the top hat scattered around here and there, as if to mock the customers. Needless to say, there were a lot of passengers screaming, "I want to get off of Mr. Bones' Wild Ride!" Now here's where things get really good. Once the ride comes to a stop, the passengers found themselves on a long path that took about 2 hours to traverse. Once they reached out at the end, they found themselves facing a sign that read, "Mr. Bones says, the ride never ends." The path led straight towards back to the entrance of Mr. Bones' Wild Ride. There was nowhere else to go. In other words, they were fucked. Needless to say, it gained a lot of popularity on V, and people started making their own Mr. Bones' Wild Ride. I was one of them, and I made a version with the Ghost Train ride. You know, the one ride that's usually a huge death trap. It didn't last just as long as the original, but it did have a twist. Near the end of it, it launched the cars into a small shed with a sign on the side that read, "Enjoy your stay." I killed about 20 people with that ride and laughed my ass off as they went each one by one to their own graves. Fast forward a few weeks, and I was in the Busch Gardens on the vacation. I was wandering around trying to decide what to ride. That's when I noticed a ride that hadn't been there since the last time I visited. It was weird because it had never been advertised, and there was nothing on the map about it. I figured, what the hell, and got in line. Surprisingly, the line wasn't very long. I only waited for about 10 minutes to get on. It was one of those motorcar rides to which it was kind of weird because they were already had one elsewhere in the park. Why would they open up a second one? After buckling in, I looked up ahead and froze. There was a giant skeleton up in the ride ahead, tipping the hat with a sign over its head. "No," I whispered. The sign read, "Mr. Bones' Wild Ride." I struggled with my restraints, but they wouldn't come off. I begged the employee controlling the ride to help me so I can change my mind, but he ignored me. The car started moving and I screamed in terror. Up ahead, the track stretched for what seemed like forever. "I want to get off of Mr. Bones' Wild Ride."